There was a time in my life when my favorite sentence was, I'm fine. I've got it. Bills handled. Stress managed. Emotions contained. If something went wrong, I didn't fall apart. I became efficient. From the outside, it looked impressive. People would say, you're so strong. You never need anyone. You're so independent. And I wore that like a badge, especially after 2 decades delivered in high-stake corporate environments. I genuinely believed that was my personality. I'm not the needy type. I prefer doing things myself. That's just who I am. Here's what I didn't understand then, and this is where anyone watching who recognizes themselves, those patterns become so automatic, they feel like a glove, indistinguishable from identity. If you can relate to this, when those patterns repeat often enough, they don't feel like strategies. They feel like identity. I call mine independence. But if I'm honest, it was a protection that had simply become efficient. And when protection feels like identity, you don't question it, you defend it. I did. When I look back, I can see memories scattered across different stages of my life. Some clear, some vivid, some vain, some wild, some easy to access, and others blurred at edges. They accumulated. As a child, being capable was praised. At school, doing things alone felt efficient. At university, resilience meant pushing through. There wasn't much space to pause. In my career, being the reliable one was valued. Deadlines met, milestones delivered, a steady, I've got this attitude. None of that felt dramatic. It felt competent. But the brain is very good at pattern detection. It doesn't just record isolated moments, it tracks repetition. And once something is repeated often enough, the nervous system begins to treat it as a rule. The amygdala, the brain threat detection center, responds quickly to perceived threat, even before the thinking brain evaluates nuances. It doesn't say, that was emotionally disappointing, but not life threatening. It simply flags, noted. Apparently, my amygdala graduated top of the class in I don't depend on anyone 101. The automatic nervous system shifts state, and the body learns. Not because it was dramatic, but because it became familiar. Over time, the system simplifies it. Relying on others feels unpredictable. Relying on myself feels controlled. And the mind prefers control over uncertainty. So without consciously deciding it, self-sufficiently becomes the safer option. And what feels safest gets repeated. And what's repeated long enough starts to feel like who you are. So years later, in completely different circumstances, I find myself saying, I'm just independent. But in reality, my automatic nervous system is still running an old safety protocol. This is where it becomes uncomfortable. If independence feels rigid, if asking for help irritates you before you even thought about it, if closeness makes it your body brace, that's not empowerment, it's protection. And once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. Healthy independence is flexible. You can receive support and stay capable. Protective independence is tense. You feel safest in control, and control is often anxiety wearing a beautiful blazer. What fascinated me and honestly humbled me was realizing this wasn't a conscious decision. I wasn't choosing to be hyper independent. My system was protecting me before I had a chance to analyze anything. The brain builds internal models from past experiences, and the nervous system responds based on those models. That's how the automatic nervous system works. It operates beneath the conscious awareness. By the time the mind says, I'm fine, I've got it, the body has already shifted into protection mode. And here's the important medical piece: the brain uses past experiences to anticipate what might happen next. If vulnerability once led you to discomfort or disappointment, the system prepares for that outcome again. So it shuts down preemptively. That's conditioning at work. But here's the part that changes everything. The same brain that encoded the pattern can also update it. Is your brain's ability to change its structure and functions through life. It forms, strengthens neutral pathways when experiences are repeated. But it can also weaken or prune pathways that are no longer used. In simple terms, the brain is not a fixed wiring diagram. It is a living network, constantly adapts to what you focus. Every time you react in the same way, in thoughts, emotions, and body, the brain reinforces that pathway. When you consistently introduce a different response, especially one that feels safe and regulated, the brain starts to favor that new route. Over time, the old pattern becomes less dominant, and the new one becomes more automatic. Hypnotherapy and somatic work become powerful here because they target the system that drive those changes. Hypnotherapy uses focused attention and a relaxed receptive state to bypass some of those usual mental noise and access the subconscious patterns that feed automatic thoughts and behaviors. In that state, the brain is more open to new associations, new meanings, and new responses, which is exactly what neuroplasticity needs: repetition of different internal experiences. Somatic therapy brings the body into this process by working directly with sensations. Your nervous system doesn't change through thoughts alone. It changes when your body actually experiences safety, completion, and regulation. You're not just talking about a new pattern, you are rehearsing it on both a neural and physiological level. So when hypnotherapy and somatic work are combined, you're working with the mind's imagery and meaning making. That's why they can be so effective for deep, persistent patterns. They don't fight the brain's wiring, they use neuroplasticity to gently rewire it. This is exactly what I did. I created a self hypnosis script designed to soften my reliance on control and introduce an alternative. Not forcing vulnerability, just offering more options for responding. For 6 weeks, I listened daily, headphones on, 10 minutes. In that receptive state, not asleep, not overthinking, the script introduced subtle new responses. I didn't become dependent, I became flexible. The self hypnosis session I created for you is general. It's not mine customized clinical protocol, but it uses the same neuroscience principles. Used consistently, it can help reduce the background noise, tension of I have to hold everything together. Allow your automatic nervous system to experience support without immediately bracing. Support can begin to feel steady. You can discover that you have more than one way to meet the moment. If this resonates, especially if you're the strong one who quietly feels the cost of it, grab your free audio now. But it's better if you subscribe because you'll be notified when new scripts and videos are available. Please comment your results, findings, or you can even DM me for a private session.